Hello and welcome back. This is video number 6, and this video is going to talk about how to brainstorm your teaser outline. So now that you know what you're selling and you have a good idea of how to create curiosity based on the examples previously, let's brainstorm the teaser outline for your video. Now, before I get started, I want to say that do not organize the outline in any way. If your brain says, let's organize this, don't do it. What we're doing is we're doing a creative process, and the idea is to just jot down ideas on a piece of paper or on your computer. The process of reorganizing, that will be in the next video. And the reason why I say that is because the moment you think creatively and you jot down ideas, and you begin to get into this process of trying to reorganize, what happens is your logical brain will come in and it'll shut you down. And your creative mind will not be able to think as clearly. That's why don't worry about the order right now. Just think about the ideas. All right. So step number 1 is based on the video course that you are selling. I want to ask you these questions and I want you to jot them down on a piece of paper or your iPhone or whatever digital device, note-taking advice that you're taking. So what are the reasons why somebody would want the video course? Write that down. Or in other words, what are the problems that they are facing? Based on the previous example, the reason why somebody would want to make their WordPress site search engine friendly in the first place is the ultimate desire that they want better search engine rankings. Most people don't make their WordPress site SEO friendly just to do it. They do it kind of as a pain and a solution to their pain that they want better rankings. So in other words, the pain that they face is not ranking well in the search engines, not getting free traffic to their website from Google or even Yahoo or Bing or other search engines. So I want you to pause this video right now and jot down the ultimate desire. What does that look like in terms of the video course that you are selling right now? Okay, so hopefully you have that written down. Step number 2 is what is the roadblock that is preventing them from reaching the ultimate desire? So you wrote down the desire, but what is preventing them from reaching that? Is it like a technical roadblock? Is it a psychological roadblock? Is it a physical roadblock? So in our case with the video course, with the WordPress site, remember that in that case, being able to make the WordPress site search engine friendly is merely a technical roadblock. They truly desire better ranking, but they can't do that until they get this technical issue done. So pause the video and write that down in relation to what you're selling. In step number 3, what type of person would fit this? Now, in our case, the type of person that would fit this typically would be somebody who is not technical savvy. Or if they are technical savvy, they may not understand the formula or the process of what it entails to set up and to make a WordPress site search engine friendly. So they could either be a newbie, write that down, or they could be an expert who doesn't know the formula. So write that down. Is it a newbie? Is it a layman? Is it an expert? Is it an advanced person or an intermediate type person? What kind of knowledge would they have? And write that down. So it could be different people, like I said, newbies and experts, and different reasons why there is a roadblock. But by understanding the different types of people that you could be targeting, the better you will understand what you need to convey essentially in your trailer itself. So pause the video, write that down, and then move on to step number 4, which is what are videos that are part of the video course that fit the above. So if I refer back to the WordPress search engine video course, I can think, well, what parts of the video course make it so that a newbie feels comfortable or an expert feels comfortable? Well, if we think about it, the 5 factors video would be important. and then maybe pieces of the screen capture video for how to do it. Because a newbie is going to think, I don't know how to do it. Is it going to be step by step and easy enough? So screen capture video in that case would be crucial for a newbie. An expert, usually they can figure it out themselves, and they would want to know the formula, which would be the 5 factors, and they probably could figure it out themselves. But the newbie themselves they're definitely going to need screen capture video. So pause the video, write that down. Step number 5 is going to be, what are key elements that you jotted earlier during the previous videos that you felt were important to have in your movie trailer or teaser video? So what key elements you jotted down earlier during the previous videos that you felt were important? So pause the video, go ahead, write these answers to all these questions down right now. I already gave you a few for the example video course that we're looking at, and you can use that for yours, but obviously it's going to be a little bit different because you're going to be selling a different video course. All right, so go ahead and do that now, and we'll see you in the next video. Hello and welcome back. This is video number 7. We are now going to take all the ideas that you brainstormed in the previous video, and now we are going to reorganize them into a sequential step-by-step outline. So essentially, if you think about how movies are created, and like I said, it was usually a storyboard, and then you figure out what scene should go before what scene. That's this purpose of this video. So let me show you how it works right now. Okay, so referring back to the notes that we took during the short written ad, I'm going to scroll down here, and I went ahead and wrote out an outline that you can follow. So we have the attention, which is kind of the calling out of the audience, sort of like the short written ad where you call out the audience. So if we refer back to it, we remember that there was a eyeglass wear ad which called out the audience. And there was also a retirement ad which didn't necessarily call out the audience, but called out a question that the audience would gravitate towards. So in this case, we have attention audience as our first. And then we have something like, imagine being able to do this or do that. So retirement wise, imagine being able to live carefree with your family without having to worry about income or something. But the problem is blank, and that's the roadblock, right? So now you're beginning to see all the things that we talked about briefly kind of come into play. And then we have the quick overview of the solution after we introduce the solution. And then of course, after that, we have the what's and the whys in sort of an educational manner. And then of course, we have number 7, which is the snippets of the highlights. And then of course, the call to action. So what I would recommend that you do is just pause this video and jot this outline down. You can follow this outline, you can kind of play around with it, you can tweak it however you wish, but the goal here is definitely you want this, and you can kind of sprinkle benefits around this area here. You can also sprinkle highlights around as well after you introduce the solution. But this is kind of the format that we use. So let's take, for example, the WordPress SEO video course. So let's think about the audience. Well, in this case, the audience, like we mentioned earlier, would be potentially somebody who is frustrated, who has an online website, and their website just isn't getting the traffic that they need. So they could be online businesses, people with websites, which are most likely online businesses. And if they, let's say newbies, and the newbies, the roadblocks is that they have technical difficulties. And then we have maybe intermediate people, or let's say tech savvy people, but they just don't know the formula of how to set up a WordPress SEO site. but that would be the same for a newbie. So what we found is as long as you're talking directly to the audience that is a newbie, typically starting with the basics, then eventually you will be talking directly to the tech savvy people as well. So we're going to do newbies in online businesses, people with websites. And what is the benefit of this course? The benefit is to be able to rank on Google and Yahoo to get free search engine optimized traffic. The problem is the technology, which is typical. And most video courses solve that simply by showing people how to do X, Y, and Z. So the problem is technology, in this case, how to make a WordPress site SEO friendly. So in other words, they not sure about what to do, what formula to use, what plugins to use. And the solution, of course, is going to be the video course that you're selling. So in this case, it is the video course on how to make any WordPress site SEO friendly. There's no discrimination towards any website. So we can say any WordPress website, because that's something that somebody would probably ask is, well, does my site work with this video course? So we want to make sure that we emphasize that here. And then of course, the quick overview of the solution. This is I forgot how many parts it was. I think it was 9. Let me just check real quick. So it's a 9-part video course. And then we need a video snippet for this. So as you're writing your outline, think of areas that you could extract the video snippets. So in this case, we could extract the video snippet of the 5-factor video. Then of course we have the what's and the whys in an educational manner. So in this case, what is important about having a WordPress site that is SEO friendly? So most likely this information will be in either the introduction or typically will be in the first video or the second video for the snippet. And of course, number 7, snippets of highlights. That's easy. You're looking for kind of screen capture video or screen share video. And when I'm referring to this, I'm referring to you're actually looking at a mouse move around on the screen and all that. Of course, this makes it difficult if the video course is just purely PowerPoint and that's it. But sometimes video courses, if they're teaching the basic fundamentals, then it doesn't really make sense to have screen share. But if it's showing how to do something, then it's necessary to have screen share. So in this case, to show the snippets of the highlights of the how, remember we have the 5-factor video that talks about the 5 different SEO factors. And then of course, following that video, I believe, can't remember, let's see here, videos 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So 4 through 8, videos 4 through 8. And then I believe it's the part 2 or the second half of each of the video is where it's located. So as we're writing down the outline, we're also brainstorming and getting an idea of the location of the snippets. And of course we have the call to action, and the call to action, depending on what that is, it could be either getting access to buying the video course, or it could be something additional of value where you could produce a report, maybe a free report or a free article with some tips that maybe elaborate further on those 5 factors. Or maybe you take one of those factors and you elaborate and hire a article writer to write something that is helpful based on one of those factors, and you can do that. Now, just to give you some ideas, since the goal is to get people to sign up on your email list, once they're on your email list, you could have something like a 7 to 12 day autoresponder series. And maybe day 1 and 2 is maybe the welcome, and then of course day 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 could be an introduction. Well, let's say welcome on day 1, and then day 2 could be the what's and the whys, and then day 3, 4, 5, 6, those are 5. So actually we could have like 5-factor email, and then of course day 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 could be the how snippets. So what I'm showing here is you're going to make a video for the one here, the outline here, but the email list is actually separate. All this is nothing to do with videos or anything like this. These are emails. But I'm just showing you that you can simply also take the outline that you've written and literally turn that into email text and turn that into your autoresponder series. So that's a great idea on how to essentially rehash what you've already created. So that way you don't have to recreate a lot of things from scratch. All right. So just giving you some extra kind of bonus ideas right here. So now that we have the outline for this here, which is from this point to this point, we can move on to the next remaining videos. Hello and welcome back. This is video number 8, and we are now going to talk about video software. So now that you understand the most important process of creating a teaser outline, which were videos 1 through 7, believe it or not, the technical aspect of video creation is actually about 10% or even sometimes 5% of the whole process. So it's a very minute process. And once you understand the technical understanding of how to extract the video snippets and how to reorganize them based on the outline, you're going to see how easy it really is. So let me start by showing you some video creation software that you can use and what we will be using. Okay, so there are 2 softwares that I would recommend that you use. Number 1, if you don't want to spend any money and you don't plan on doing a lot of video editing in the future with video courses, or you don't plan on creating lots of teaser videos, then there's a software called HitFilm Express. It is free and it's fairly easy to use the program to edit videos. Now, that said, I do feel like the one that is the best of them all in terms of editing videos and extracting snippets and all of that is Camtasia. We've used this for decades, and this piece of software has come very, very convenient in terms of just editing videos, creating videos, and all that. So if you foresee yourself using this to create additional snippets or additional pieces of your teaser video, then I would highly recommend Camtasia, because this is actually what I'm using right now to create this video course. So Camtasia does come with a price, and if you click on price, you'll see that it does come with a price about $249, but it is well worth it in the long run. It's definitely a good business expense when it comes to creating videos from scratch and editing videos, because what's nice about it is you can record what is going on the screen. So one thing is, if you want to add on to the video course, you could by getting Camtasia and adding additional value to the video course or to the teaser video. Now, Camtasia, what's nice about it is we will be using that in this video course, and I'll show you some tips and secrets and techniques that you can use with Camtasia that you could not otherwise use with other video apps. Hello and welcome to video number 9. We're going to talk about video course snippets. So by now you should have the video course files in hand, which should be coming in the form of either AVI files or MP4 files, and you should have a good idea of what videos you will need to extract. This process is going to be very easy, assuming that you have already watched the video course as a whole and you have an idea of what the highlights are. However, if you have not, this is going to be very difficult for you. So if you haven't watched the video course, make sure that you watch the video course. So now if you want to learn how to extract the video snippets first and then go back and do that later, then that's fine as well. So let's hop on over to our video creation software. In this case, we'll be using Camtasia, and I'll show you how it works and how to extract snippets out of the video course. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be using Camtasia because that is one of the best editors in terms of editing video courses. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you to locate the MP4 files over here. We're going to highlight these and then we're going to drag them and then we're going to drop them into the import media bin section. So as you can see, drag and drop it in here. And you might have to wait a few seconds. Don't click anything, otherwise it'll lock up. And there we go. So we have videos 1 through 9 in here. So what we're going to do is we are going to extract certain pieces of the video so that we can create our teaser video. So as long as you don't give away the full video, that should be fine. Of course, you can always check with the video creator to make sure that that is okay, but typically it should be okay as long as you don't give it away. So what we're doing is we're just grabbing little bitty snippets to essentially sell the video course. So let's look for number 1. This is number 1. We're going to left click. So if you're using a Mac, if you're going to be using a PC and you have the updated Camtasia version, they both should look the same. If you have an older version of Camtasia, it should look slightly different, but you're going to see and you're going to notice that it's pretty much the same. You're going to have this track down here, which basically allows you to drag and drop elements down here like so. So we can see this is the first video. So if we refer back to our outline, we go back over to here. So we're focusing primarily on newbies, and in this area we are most likely going to need to, we're not going to say, hey newbies, we're going to say, do you have a website? And if you do, then is your website getting traffic? So we're not even going to talk about WordPress SEO first, right? People don't really care about SEO or WordPress SEO or the technology. What they care about is the end desire or the end result. This is mainly just here as a means to get past the roadblock, if that makes sense. So we don't even need to introduce this information until later down the road. So if you can go through the video course and you find a section that talks about the benefits and the ultimate desire, then great, extract that out of there. But in this case, I'm just going to show you how to extract snippets from a whole video. So let's say we go through here. And we decide let's see, something like this, something in the introduction, maybe something here, where it says, don't get caught up in all the SEO changes, as that will keep you from moving forward. So let's say that we decide that, okay, this sounds nice, and then let's just grab this out of here. To get the snippet, what you can do is you can do it several ways, but I'm going to show you the fastest way. You could either highlight it and then right click and then produce the timeline selection as a video and basically totally render and extract the video. So what that means is you're extracting that portion and you're saving it as a file on your external online file manager. Or another way to do this is simply, let's say you want to start here and you don't want anything before that. So if you want that, then you can put this here. You want to split the track, so we're going to hit this, split, or you can click on S, one of the two. So I'm going to do that. We split the track, and then I'm going to delete what's before it. And let's say that I want everything from this point just to this point, right? So if that's the case, I split the track and then I move it over. So that's the fastest way to essentially split or extract the video segments. So congratulations, you reached the end of this video course. This is of course video number 10, and we're going to take all the things that we did in the previous videos and take all the video snippets that you now have in hand and simply reorganize them based on the sequential teaser outline that we created in the previous videos. Now, if you don't have these snippets that fit a certain area of your outline, then that's totally fine, but you will need, of course, to create them yourself or hire a voiceover artist to do them for you. Now, I will say it's most likely easier to create them yourselves, and sometimes you could even remove the audio and just place a soundtrack on top of them. So even if the video creator has a different voice than you, it doesn't matter. Or you can totally remove it and add your own voice and do that. So I'm going to show you different ways of doing that in this particular video. Another thing you can do is if you hire a voiceover artist, you can simply give them the text script, have them do the audio, and then place some video on top of that as well. All right, so let me show you how all this works. And of course, we decide this one here, we're gonna create ourselves, but this one here is there. So the problem is technology, how to create or how to make a WordPress site SEO friendly, not sure about what to do, what formula to use, what plugins to use, blah, blah, blah. So let's say that piece was this, and we need to create these, and then introducing the solution. So usually the solution hasn't been created, so you need to create that yourself. So sometimes you can simply click on the plus sign, or you can use annotations as well. So what we're going to do is, usually in the beginning that's the case, but if that's not, then you can always import like images and stuff. So let's see. Let's say, for example, that we do have the image created. So what we could do is we could click on media. And what we want to do is we want to go back up here, import media. And we want to find some images. And I've got a background here. So let's say we'll move that down here. And if you put your mouse over here, you'll notice you can drag this and extend the time. So we can see that it moves from here over to here, and we can always move this as well, like that. So we could even move like that. So we have a background. And of course we could add some sort of call out on top of that. So we've got different behaviors, we have annotations and call outs. So let's say we're going to add a call out here. And instead of white, we're going to make that black, like that. One thing I found with teaser videos is ask people questions. So how can you make your WordPress site SEO friendly? And of course we could extend that. Let's say we'll put it there. And of course, what I did just now is I clicked copy, and then I right clicked and clicked on paste. And that gives you the ability to add more text. So what you can do here is add more text. So how can you make your site SEO friendly? You can say by implementing 5 factors. And let's say we're going to put that there, and then let's go back to our media and talk about the 5 factors. So if we go back to the outline here, let's say we've done that, so we'll mark this red, or we'll actually gray this out. And then of course the quick overview of the solution, and then the 5-factor video. So the 5-factor, let's see here, that's video number 3. So what I'm going to do here, push video number 3 over here, and then I'm going to look for the part where I talk about the 5 factors. So let's see, that's why you need to watch the video course and figure out, okay, where does it actually talk about the 5 factors without giving too much away? One thing you want to make sure of is when you create teaser videos is not to give too much away. Because if you can give too much away, then somebody else will just go to Google and figure it out themselves. But you want to talk about the what's and the whys, meaning what are the 5 important factors and why are they important? And sometimes you may not get that information in the video course. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad course. It just means the outline that you want to create may be a little bit different. And if that's the case, that's fine. You can always tweak it and do what I'm doing here. So let's say, for example, that the snippet that we want starts from here and then it ends in here. So if that's the case, we want to put the marker here. We want to split it. And of course, delete everything to the left of it. And let's say that it ends right here. We'll split. And then we'll move that right here. All right. And then we move on to the next item, which is the introduction or second part video. So second video. So what's important? Why is it important? So that would be video number 2. So let's look for number 2. This one here. Okay, so let's say, okay, this part here is important. We want to extract this part from the left of it, and we want to stop here. We're going to split that, and then we want this part. So we're going to move that over here, and we refer back over here, and then we think, okay, now let's show some highlights of the actual course. So 4 to 8, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's look here. So we got, where's 4? 4 is here. And remember, with the highlights, we want to look for some screen share. So let's go straight here. And let's say, okay, we don't want to give too much screen share away because that will show somebody exactly what to do. But we'll say that, okay, this gives a little bit of information, but it doesn't give too much away. So we're going to split that here. And then I'm going to copy this. I'm going to right click, copy. I'm going to move over here. And then we're going to paste. And the reason why I'm doing this is, you'll see in a minute, here's some highlights, or not highlights, but here's some sneak peek previews of the course. So now we can grab this, we can move it over here, and then we can show the highlights here. So we go from here over to here. So we do the same thing for the rest of the 5, 6, 7, and 8. we extract those highlights and we add them here. So let's see here. Let's just do one for number 7. And we'll say, okay, this is, a piece. Let's grab a piece out of here. Now, obviously, as I grab the piece, I don't want you to grab just random pieces, but grab pieces that you think would actually add value, kind of deal. Now, one way of doing this is you can also remove the actual audio. So if you were to remove the audio and you were to add a soundtrack to it, all you need to do is simply click on the video, right click, and then you can edit audio, or you can separate audio and video. If you do that, then you can delete the audio track. Do the same thing here. Of course, you could edit the audio and delete that as well, but either way is fine. And then what you could do is add a soundtrack, and then it makes it feel like you're viewing one cohesive unit kind of deal. And you can also voice over it as well. Okay, so once that's done, we can add a call to action right here. Want more? Or want a free report on 5 ways to make your site SEO friendly in 2 hours. Sign up below. So you always want to have a call to action at the end of a teaser video. So once that's done, you can spice it up by going to a site called Videos, or you can hire an After Effects developer. But Videos is probably better. But you can go to viddyoze.com, and this is a program that you can use, and you don't even have to be a After Effects editor, and you can create some fancy introductions and outros, and then you can add them to the beginning, the ending, the middle section of your video to make it look more professional. And while you're at it, you can also add transitions. So let me show you that real quick. So if you go to transitions, you can add, basically transitions are elements that are between each of these snippets or sections of the media that allow you to transition from one element to another. So right now, let's say we go from here to here. If we click play, you'll see that it jumps from the orange to the red without any sort of transition. But if we add a transition, it makes it look a little bit nicer. So we can say fade through black here. So now take a look as we go from here to here. So you can see there's a nicer transition. We can also make the transition longer by extending the arrows like so, like that. But you don't want to make it too long, otherwise it can get boring and slow. You can also add other transitions as well, but what I've noticed is that typically you want to stick with just like fade or fade. The other ones look kind of cheesy if you think about it, so if you do like flip, it's okay, but in a certain way it looks kind of old school. So really up to you and really up to what your audience likes, but that's how you do it. And then of course, if you want to add a soundtrack, then you can always import media into here and simply drag the soundtrack to another additional track. So if you click this little plus sign here, it adds tracks, and you can add a soundtrack on top of here. So let's say, for example, give you an example here. So this right here, we've got the audio and the video. So let's say, for example, we import a soundtrack. It's going to look like this, something like this. So we're going to move it on top on track number 3. And of course, if it's not long enough, you want to make sure that the soundtrack is long enough. But what you could do is, if the soundtrack is too short, you can always loop it around. And the way you loop it around is by simply copy and paste, and then putting a duplicate right here. One thing I will say is whenever you create a video and you have a soundtrack, it's highly recommended that the soundtrack is not too loud. So make sure when you listen to the soundtrack that if you do have voice, that it's not too loud. If you don't have voice, then still make sure that the soundtrack is not too loud. Otherwise, sometimes it will take away from the actual trailer itself. Of course, movie trailers can kind of get away with it because it's a lot of times action oriented. But I hope you enjoyed seeing how to piece together your video course.